Good morning. Welcome to one more presentation at FMX. And this time I was asked to keep it a bit more professional. This is actually a keynote presentation. This is so unlike me. And we're going to go through the presentation, talk about a few points, make a nice inspirational speech, and then actually do some proper work. Yeah. I'm Noseman. The official name of the presentation is Using Houdini Assets Inside Cinema 4D. This is the formal title. Using Houdini Engine Inside Cinema 4D Tech Preview. This is my informal title. It will crash, okay? And it's definitely not my fault, okay? It will freeze, and it's definitely still not my fault. Although it may not crash or freeze, where I take all the credit for that. So, mind you, there is bias here, if any. But do you really care? No. Do you really care? No. The end of the keynote. That's my keynote. Okay, so I've covered that base. I feel much more comfortable now. Now, please, I'd ask you to do me a favor. If the person sitting next to you changes color or starts going low in the seat, it's probably one of the developers. Okay, so. So this is a tech preview, and I want to give you some history on this project. First of all, we all know that Cinema 4D is by far the best motion graphics program out there. No doubt anyone that believes otherwise can just leave through either exits. Houdini. Who doesn't know Houdini here? Who doesn't know what Houdini is? And we're not talking about Harry Houdini, we're talking about side effects Houdini. Good. Houdini is the best visual effects program out there. And if you want to see what it does, go buy €8 a ticket at the cinema, where in a film that has explosions and water and smoke and destruction and all that, and you're pretty much sure you will see some of the fantastic work done with Houdini. So we have one leader over here for one market. We have one leader over there with a slight overlap. Both programs make cubes and spheres. That's about it. What do you do? How do you join forces? You become a team. You work together. And the product of a collaboration where two leading software in the market is something exceptional. Today we're going to see a few samples, a tech preview of what this collaboration has generated. And the joke of the day is that Cinema 4D is so powerful, it has Houdini as a plugin. So the only person that, even Paul Fatizzi, account manager of Houdini, laughed. Why is everyone late? Oh, they're all Maxon. David. Yeah, I know the majority of people here by their first names, as you can see. Michael. How you doing, guys? Yeah. So, okay, it's going to be quite simple, but I will do a live creation of an asset. Let me explain the engine. Another 2 minutes, and then we go on to the good stuff. A couple of years ago, Side Effects came up with a brilliant concept to create a runtime version. I'm going to use layman's terms. A version of Houdini that doesn't have an interface. And they created an API. They created a communication language where you can actually write plugins for all sorts of applications so that you can use data from your own application, send it to Houdini for processing, and then Houdini returns the result to you. And as a matter of fact, that is an extremely powerful thing. And the joke that Houdini runs as a plugin in Cinema 4D is not actually a joke. It's amazing how the concept that you have a 3D application and you have the best VFX application running as a plugin inside that. And the potential is fantastic. And Side Effects and Maxon are working together on this project. And today we're going to see the current implementation of it. And very soon we are going to have an open beta for the first time in Maxon history. We are going to allow users to use a product which is not in its final phase to provide feedback. And the reason is because this is has so much potential, we need the feedback from everyone to make this work. So I'm going to show you some QuickTime movies. This time I am going to wear my glasses because I can't read the bloody monitor. Lovely. Hi, Peggy. So these are random early tests. When I first received the plugin, I thought, why don't I just do a few million particles? So in random order, as you can see, some of them are rendered in the beta version of Arnold. So everything you see here is rendered through Cinema 4D. And nothing is cached. This was actually calculated frame by frame inside Cinema 4D. So it's a spaceship coming out of styrofoam, basically. Don't judge the artistry. Let's see another one, though. So this is another test rendered in Arnold as well. And every dot is a particle. So again, this was just for eye candy. There's nothing particular about this. Pilot test. Now, this is interesting here. I think I can make this bigger. Yeah. So look at this. This is 9 or 4 MoGraph cubes, where each cube is emitting smoke. Cinema 4D's renderer doesn't render volumetrics. Arnold does. So what this asset, this Houdini asset does, and I'm going to explain what an asset is in just a second, it actually saves a VDB file. And while in Cinema 4D, Arnold reads the volume file, which is generated by the cubes inside Cinema 4D. And since I've said that, I'm going to explain what an asset is. You create a setup in Houdini, like a file in Cinema 4D, that does a specific job. It has data, it has outputs, and you actually create an encapsulated version of it. It's called a Houdini Digital Asset, HDA file. And the process, after you build it, you define as a user which parameters are going to be available to the user that's going to put it in Cinema 4D or anywhere else. And you can tweak the parameters, you can input data to the asset. Anything that goes in the asset gets calculated inside Houdini. So Houdini, the Houdini asset does the following: gets data from Cinema 4D, sends it all to Houdini. The process happens. We call it cooking. So it's something before baking. So it's cooking. It returns. Yeah, it's relevant. And the data is returned and exposed in Cinema 4D. So we are going to support all the data types that Cinema 4D supports: polygons, particles, splines, everything, textures, materials, and all that. So in this case, although Cinema 4D does not deal with volumes, there are ways to make volume-compatible renderers read the data that's actually created by Cinema 4D by using an asset. And things are going to be a bit clearer as we move down, and I show you how certain things are done. I did forget my glasses and suddenly can't read anything. Now this is an interesting one. This is all frame by frame rendered inside Cinema 4D. Again, some of them are Arnold, some of them are... So this is one of a kind. Up to this point, in order to do any kind of fluid simulation in Cinema 4D, you either needed a dedicated plugin, or you had to pre-bake in some other software and bring it in. What you see here is actually calculated inside Cinema 4D by using a Houdini asset that does this thing. And funny enough, one of the things I'm going to make today is actually a flip solver. Okay, it's so fast to set it up, I can actually do it in real time. And I see people's color changing. So this is another asset I made. I'm very proud because I've been only using Houdini, which is a very difficult program. No, it's got its own logic. It's got its own way of working. But it's extremely powerful. And yeah, I want to repeat. By combining these two things, you have the extreme pipeline. You can do pretty much whatever you want. Now, what this does, and I'm going to show you the asset in a bit, I'm throwing thinking particles, which are not visible in this case, at this weird candle. Wherever the thinking particles are touching it, it's going red and melting. It's a low-resolution meshing, so yeah, forget about the flicker. But the idea, the colorization is coming to us via a vertex map, calculated through the asset, and I'm using it in a shader, Vertex Map shader, in the luminance channel, and I create this kind of effect. So where it's warm, it's red, and it melts. Another thing, so again, it's all spaceships. We did see this, we did see that. Oh, another thing we can do. Crowds. Zombies and joggers. The worst. What is worse, a zombie or a jogger? I don't know. So, yeah, what you see here is an asset that creates a crowd, and we can define. We're going to see it live happening. Okay, so crowd simulations. Yeah, this is the same. More viscous fluids. Now, even the blending you see, is this rendered using Arnold? It doesn't really make a difference because, or Synology, yeah, I can't tell the difference. The blending we see here happens through a vertex map. So, cakes and syrups, and this is another one where the chocolate is a bit too hot. Okay, yeah, who cares, eh? Another one now. Now watch this. This is interesting. So I've asked, most of these assets were created courtesy of side effects, which is 110% behind the project. So the idea is by the time the plugin goes open beta, there are going to be so many ready assets for you to play around with. And again, I'm going to take a step back and explain a few things. In order to load Houdini digital assets, you need to have at least the Houdini engine. Go on the side effects website and check out prices and so forth. It's very cost effective. So it's well worth buying as an investment. Yeah, price is very low. And basically what happens is you just install the engine, and when you run Cinema 4D, providing it's got the plugin, which is going to be given for free from Maxon, it just runs. It recognizes it. You don't even know it's running in the background. So there is a special place you get these assets, and it's called the Orbolt store, R-B-O-L-T. You will find it on the side effects website. And basically, it's a marketplace where you can download ready-made assets. Most of them are made by side effects currently, and artists are starting to build there, which means that there's a potential for people to actually monetize of that. If you start making assets for other people, either for free or to sell, there is another opportunity there. So it's not only the technical per se, but it's a new kind of market, which is it's getting common with Unity and all sorts of other platforms. And in this case, this is an asset that side effects made for me. And what happens is we have elastic text, but where the text starts deforming, I actually get the information and I can use it in a texture. So wherever the deformation appears, the color changes. Glasses. There you go. And these are random tests with all sorts of things. Yeah, for some reason I felt interesting. And this is rendered with Cinema 4D hair. Okay, it's just blue particles and white water. Another splash. I think this splash here is the first test ever I tried with a Houdini engine. Again, another test. I was pushing the limits of particles in this. You'll see later on. It's flickery because I have a very, very low settings. And let me show you another one. This is the same from a closer angle. All these are particles in Cinema 4D generated by a digital asset. So basically I did the flip solver and I imported the spaceship as a file from, I think it was an OBJ file. I animated it and it pushed the water up and created what you see there. Again, now this is pushing the limit. I think this is 8.5 million particles. Yep, rendered using Arnold and again, I think this is just the white water to show exactly. So this one plus the previous one would create a better simulation. Quite a few dots there, don't you think? And again, I think this is another version of it, which, yeah, it's not really interesting. And then this was a special request by a very good friend. Jello text. Again, this is basically the same asset I used to create the letters that were going red, but with different parameters. So this is what happens with a digital asset. Providing the user has exposed the appropriate parameters, you can play around. So you have rubber text or you have Jello text. But it's all up to the creator. So this gives you kind of an overview of some of the things which are possible. So I wanted to be honest, and no Maxon person raised their hand. Do you find this remotely interesting? Can I see hands who finds this at least remotely interesting? Okay. Right, not everyone, but yeah. Oh, it's the CEO of Maxon, of course. So this is basically a very small sample of what we can do. And let's go and see some of these things, how they work. Mind you, disclaimer, some of these workflows may change. Some of these, the way we do things and what we expect is not set yet, but you'll get a good idea of how things are going to work. Let's go here and find something interesting. Okay, let's start with this, the Bouncy text. Okay, so let's wait for this to load. There's a bit of a process. You can see the status bar. Yeah, we can kind of see it. It's cooking. Now, if anyone, you ask speeds, because currently this is a pre-release version and there's a lot of debug code in and so forth, it is slightly slower than the final one. But some metrics I did, the overheads for transferring the information, there's a small overhead, but overall, because the calculation is taking place in Houdini itself, basically, running as the engine, you don't have such a huge hit. And yeah, so this is the elastic text. And if I press play, don't forget, these are simulations. This is not fake. This is a proper way of doing soft body dynamics using the Houdini asset. And this is 3D. This is not surface surface soft bodies. This is the whole object is a soft body. So it has a 3D structure in it. And that's why they keep their shape and they bounce back and they don't just flatten down. So this is the kind of speed. And you can see that it's not cheap in geometry. There are quite a few bits. If I render this, there you go. So let me show you. So this is a backlit version. And basically, what you see here, this little green thing, this is a generator. But it's basically Houdini. We have the Houdini logo here. So I don't know if I can zoom. No, I can't zoom. It's visible there, isn't it? Yeah, lovely. So this is the Houdini digital asset, and it has the parameters here in the attributes manager and some things like scaling, information, and so forth. And then it has the inputs. Because when I was creating the asset, I said, okay, I want to put some information in here. What that information is? Well, actually, the information is the text itself. The text you see here is actually Cinema 4D text. So let me rewind, and instead of elastic text, I'm going to delete the text, and it has to calculate its little thing. This is a crash. So the reason it happened, because I clicked an extra time. Now the developer is going like, oh my God, it's crashed. This is a new bug I just found yesterday, and that's why I wanted to announce it. And this, when I run it again, it's not going to happen. So sorry for that. We're real people here. So let's go. Don't send. Don't send. Because we've already sent it. There we go again. I'm going to do it one more time. So if I do any clicks now while it's loading, it's going to crash. So I'm just do this, make sure I don't touch anything. And if you want to, so I said here, don't click while cooking. Don't click while cooking. Yeah. But I did, certain things you can't avoid. So I've deleted this, so it has to recalculate what it's doing. And again, there's a lot of debug code. So take this with a kind of grain of salt. Now I can maximize this. And let me go to this thing here and say, wait for it to calculate, sending the data down, receiving all the information, and it's going to present us with the geometry in a second. Come on, in 2 seconds. There you go. And now if I press play, it's going to start falling. So you can see that what I just did, I used a motext object. I fed that as, I've already fed that as input for the asset, because when I was creating the asset, I defined an input. I can actually put a collision object so that this will hit it and deform wherever I want to. And basically, it exposes these three vertex maps. And the reason is because we can bring all sorts of data from Houdini. The compatible way for Cinema 4D to bring it in is using a vertex map. So if I create a material here, so any material, and I can go to, I'll apply this here, and create a second material, which is going to be luminance red. And in the alpha channel, I'm going to add a vertex map. And I'm going to click here and drop this in. And let's go up and say not image alpha. And I'm going to just drop this on here as well. So what will happen when it touches the ground, because that vertex map gets the information through to the alpha channel of the red luminance material, it will actually, there you go. If I render this, it will be red wherever it's deforming. So all sorts of different types of data can be brought in from Houdini, and we can use it in ways we couldn't until now. So this is one example of an asset. Please remind me not to click while things are loading. Let's see, what shall we see here? Yeah, the splash device, handheld device splash. This is an interesting one. So here, this is a version of it where I've actually done a little trick to show something. And basically, I've created a Houdini digital asset which just reads files. And because it's actually Houdini that's reading the files, we can actually read any type of file which is compatible to Houdini inside Cinema 4D. And that would be just get one of the versions of Houdini, go and see what it can read and write, and you will understand what I mean. So in this case, it's a cached animation. So I've cached the particles, and it's actually reading what we're doing here. And let me press escape and stop this. If we take a look at this, we're actually using $F3, which is an attribute inside Houdini. So the integration is so tight that we can actually push expressions from Cinema 4D into Houdini. Anyone who uses Houdini knows what expressions are. So in this case, $F3 means the frame number with two preceding zeros. So 001, 002, 003. So when it goes to 006, it goes into this folder. Let's go and see the folder. And reads the BGO file, which is basically the Houdini binary cache file. So we can read Houdini files, Houdini caches, anything that is understandable, that Houdini can understand. So I have this particle output, and just to see how many particles we have, let's go to simulate thinking particles, settings. Currently we have 1.5 million particles. So reading a cache with 1.5 million particles, and I would say that it's not doing bad at all. So we're reading these particles, but what can we do with them? Well, we can render them using hair, or we can get another Houdini digital asset, which is the mesher, and takes an input of particles and creates a mesh. So it's reading the particles now, and the asset is calculating the mesh around these particles. And if we render now, you will see that we have a splash. And you can see it here. This is geometry generated. So we're using two digital assets at this moment. One that reads the splash cache sounds nice. And then we push this, which is basically our particles, inside another asset. Now, the funny thing is that Houdini is unaware that there are two digital assets. Houdini doesn't care. Each asset is calculated separately. So first we get the particles that are read in, and whatever the result is, because we choose the next asset, the one that says side effects measure, just knows that it's getting a particle input. It doesn't know where that's coming from. And that's very good because you can structure. I have an example of an interesting setup here. I'll show you in a bit. So let's see a few more things. Oh, by the way, just to show you, we have a full priority. The priority system has been fully implemented, which means that if we have any competing priorities, we just resolve them just like with normal expressions and stuff in Cinema 4D. Let's move on and see a few more things. Go back and go back. You can see, let's see the crowd. Zombies is always nice to see. Now, mind you, this is a very complex. I couldn't even begin making it in Houdini, and Side Effects, Adam from Side Effects. Thank you, Adam, if you're watching. Is this live? Are we live? Is this being streamed?
Yes.
Hi, Adam. Thank you. So, yeah. We quick play, and they start working. The artificial intelligence is working on the background. They've got an avoidance pattern. Their motion is randomized, and I don't know how many of these people we have. Let me press escape and change my camera view. Well, not bad. I mean, this is a laptop. Okay, no, let's not forget, this is not workstation. And the speed is pretty good. And here's the asset. And we have a separation value and a number. It's not 200. It's 200 before it subtracted the ones that were overlapping. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you were thinking, Adam. This is definitely not 200. So basically, it's creating all these outputs here, which are the components that make up each and every one of these people. And yeah, we have crowd simulation. I'm pretty sure that if Adam spends a few more hours on this, it's going to be much more flexible. The reason I'm saying it because I don't want to be the one making it in the end. Yeah. Always transfer responsibility. That's what I've learned. So let's move on. Cloning objects and materials. This is one I like because we're gonna do something like this in a while. So I have a simple replicator, and this simple replicator gets an input for the clones and an input for the object to clone on. And basically, if we zoom in here, you will see that it replicates everything, including the materials. The main developer, Alain Laferrière, I hope I pronounce your name right, has done a fantastic job to implement all these features inside. And okay, let's go and see a few things. Clone count, 1,220. 1,500, 2,200, 2,700, 3,200. Okay, so like, sorry, 6,000. Okay, 6,000. That's pretty good. Let's go 10,000. I'm going to try and crash it. Whatever. I mean, it's happened already. 10,000. Oh, come on. 100,000. Where's this rubbish? I'm not clicking. I'm not clicking. Good. 100. Oh, that was quick. I didn't even have time to finish my dance here. Oh, it may crash. Ha ha! Oh, shit. It's a huge disappointment when you know that you can crash it, you know. So let's see what's going on. Oh, navigation. Oh, I bogged it down to 100,000. Oh, no, I didn't. Damn it! So, yeah, it's kind of 100,000 copies here. Not bad. Who's impressed, please? Who's impressed? Good. Who's not impressed? I want honest opinions. Who's not impressed? Who's that? I can't see that. Good statistics here. Okay, kick that person out. Okay, and yeah, full textures, and you can see, and all that. I'm not going to make it editable because you know what's going to happen here. There is a bit of magic, wizardry going on. I have to tell you, this is not only coding. We do have voodoo dolls and that at the office to get things to run properly. So that's an example, and we're approaching the half-hour mark because I'm actually going to create this slide, that asset, what you just saw. I'm going to create it in Houdini to show you how simple it is to make things like that. Let me see if I have anything else. Oh, yeah, this another one I like very much. So basically what I've done here is I have a, just get rid of that and get rid of that. The noise you're hearing is from the developer, actually. Yeah. Annoying people, I have to tell you. I'm very shy. So I'm just going to put this all under a null so that I can push it in as a group. And this expects only one input, and it has 4 parameters, 3 sliders and 1 checkbox. And actually, I made it. I'm very proud of that. So let me make this invisible because it is going to create a copy of it. And I'm going to drop it here. And what this does basically, it creates, internally, it creates a VDB volume data from our objects. and then combines that VDV volume into one item, and then meshes it. And so what you're seeing here is the product of meshing of the volume that's created when it fills these two cubes. And you can see that we can create all sorts of funky stuff. And now let's go and see the parameters. So I can make the voxel size bigger. Okay, and again, this is live. This is not, you know, no monkey business going on here. And just to make it a bit more interesting, yeah. So I'm going to make this a bit smaller. I'm going to drop it into a clone. And I'm going to say I want the cloner to be the thingy there. And I'm going to say grid array. And I'm going to make it larger so we have a bit of a gap. Now this is happening live. Everything I change is pushed to the Houdini engine and it's coming back. And it's MoGraph, it's standard Cinema 4D stuff. And you know something, just to make it a bit more fun, let's add a random effector. It's always somewhere around there, but I can't find it. And yeah, we have motion, and let's just make sure that here we have a kind of a noise, and I press play. And there you go. You know, while it's playing, you can make it a bit more high resolution. And yeah, you can suddenly say, hey, you know something? Let me just go back to frame 1. Because if I crash it, Alena's going to have a heart attack, so we don't want to do that, do we? Motext, drop this under here, and I'm just going to make sure that, yeah. See, the problem is me, I misclick. Yeah, I need an update, I think. So let's hide this, and let's make the text bigger. And yeah, you can see that everything is combined into that volume, which is then remeshed, and we can go live and change some of the attributes. Okay, adaptivity, ISO value, and all that while it's playing. Who liked that? Come on, that's good. Maxon people, don't raise your hands. What is this?
I'm supposed to like it.
You're not supposed to like it. You're supposed to fix it. So let's go on. Oh, and here, now this is my pride. There's a tear. You can't see it, but there is a tear. So what I've done here, hit it. Hit it. Oh, come on. Oh yeah, have to press this. Oh, interesting. It's not working right now because it's kind of complicated. Okay, let's take this one at a time and show you what this does. Turn everything on. Let's start. So I'm going to add a sphere here. And basically, this gets the sphere. So it takes a sphere and it subdivides it using a Voronoi. So simple Voronoi fraction. So this is what the first one does. Then I have another one that does some sort of remeshing. And I'm going to pipe the output, so the meshed, let me show you the sphere because I don't want to. Right, so this is the sphere. This is a seminar 40 primitive. So it's an icosahedron with 12 segments, okay? And I'm pushing that into this, and I get this. So it's a Voronoi fracture. Just like every other plugin that does fracturing. And of course, I can go and change how many points. I think there's a setting here, how many points I can add total count. Yeah, so I can change how many points are going to be generated. Then I say, okay, let me hide this and take the output of this and put it into the input of the other one. So undo. Let's go back here to my, there you go, object 1. Drop it in here. So this does a remeshing of the previous one. Now, mind you, if I change the actual inputted object, it will change. And then I take, let me hide this because it's in my face. Well, you know something, I'm just going to move it to the side and say, I'm going to take the output of this and put it in there. So now we take the output of this one and we remesh it. And then we will say, all right, let's take this and put it over there. And I'm going to put the output of that one and put it in this one. So now we have a polygon reduction asset. Everything you see here is a different asset made in Houdini in a very simple way because I can't do complex things. And then I'll take this and move it to the side and say I'm going to put this as the input of that. But you get the idea, what's going on here. So you can pipe the output of one asset into the input of the other asset and go on and on and on. Essentially, and take it with a grain of salt, you can actually create an asset for pretty much any Houdini node and start setting up equivalent layouts inside Cinema 4D. Now that's a bit far-fetched. There's no good reason to do that, but you could if you want to. That's how powerful this integration is. Okay, and with that said, let's go and make something, okay? Let me just remember, yeah, don't click while cooking, okay? To remind me not to do that. Okay, so let's make, oh yeah, let's make the replicator. I like the replicator. And let's go here, and I'll run Houdini from the timeline, from the terminal. There we go. So this is Houdini 13. And let's create a replicator. So first of all, I'm going to create the two stand-ins for my cloner and my clone, so I can create this. So tab, geometry, and actually go here, although this is not the standard way. Side effects are going to kill me, and I'm going to type box, and I'm going to call this my clone. And then I can actually do this sphere. It's faster to do it this way and call this cloner. Okay, and then I'm going to create a geometry which is going to be called replicator. And in here I'm going to add merge object. So basically this is a way of bringing in objects from other contexts, as they say. So I have two objects, and this is the clone. And this is the cloner. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell this to point, which is the clone, to the cube. So I'm going to go here and say, I want the clone, and accept. And I want to go here and say, I want this to be the cloner, and accept. There are so many tutorials out there. This, you'll learn it in a jiffy. And I'm going to use two methods. First of all, there's a node called the copy node, copy SOP. And what this does, it will copy whatever you put on the left on a number of points which you put on the right. I'm going to use a scatter node. Yeah, if I do it over here, I'll be able to see it. I'll be able to see it. So a scatter node, basically what it does, it creates a bunch of points on the surface of an object. So what you see here is it takes the sphere, because it's linked where the cloner is, brings in the cloner, and scatters points on its surface. This is what it does. And then if I put this in here, what the copy will do, it will copy a cube on every single point. So this is standard Houdinisms. And what I'm going to do is go up to make my cube a bit smaller, and take this and make a uniform scale, make it, oh, it doesn't go smaller, I have to go here. But it happens as a node. There you go. Good. Up, up. So what you see here, is the result. So what you see here is the result of this. I can turn these off. We don't need them. That was the visibility dots. So basically, this replicator is creating 1,000 points on the surface of the first object, and is copying whatever's on the left on that. So that's good enough to begin. I feel very proud. I've created my first main Houdini file, and let's make it an asset now. So I'm going to go up, select where the general calculation is taking place. And I need to make it a subnet. This is one of the things you just have to do. Call it cloner. And basically you right-click and you say create digital asset. And you go to your desktop and always add folders with meaningful names. What was that? You're mocking me? Okay, and it's going to give us an error, but it's not an error, it's actually a warning. And the reason is I haven't included these two objects inside the subnet, and it's saying, oh, where are the objects? You haven't included them. And I will say, shut up. And then I go to the parameters. So this is where the second magic happens. This is where we're going to define which of those attributes are going to be promoted. So I don't want the position, scale, rotation, and all that. I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to say, right, the important stuff, the stuff I really want to have in Cinema 4D is, first of all, this parameter, the object in. So I drag this in here, and I say, I'm going to call this clone input, Thanasis. I always add Thanasis at the end, just for vanity reasons. Then I'm going to go here and select this parameter and make it an input here and call this cloner. Thanasis. Yeah. Okay. And then I'll say from all these parameters here, from the scatter, the only thing I want is the total count. That's all I want to control. I don't want my artist, the person that's going to use this, to use any other parameter. That's enough for me. And what I'm going to do is name this number of clones. Done. Last thing I'm going to do is, if I don't have to, these are the default values. I don't want them. I want them to be empty. And that's done. So I have copies, I have this, I have that, accept, and it's done. So if I go here now and go to pipeline, load asset, desktop, see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's obvious what I'm looking for. It's a meaningful name. Good. And it's asking for 2 inputs and number of clones. Let's go and try it. Let's take this, make it smaller, of course. Let's take this, leave it as is, and say, this is my clone, and this is my cloner. And lo and behold, we have a cloner. I've just created MoGraph. You can fire your developers now. So just keep the Houdini developer, feed them meat, and let's work on this. So there we go. And we can kind of increase the number and go up to 100,000 and say the same jokes. I won't do that. But now I'm like, wait a minute. I want to have cubes in a volume. What was I thinking? You know, I don't want to have them only on the surface, because you go here and it's empty. I don't want it to be empty. I want it to be full of cubes. No problem. Fear, MoGraph developers. Ha! All right, let's go here and modify this. So there's another thing called points, something that says points, and it's points from volume. Fantastic. And I'm doing some Houdini promotion here, because the way I show it is wonderful. Don't do it again. So what I'm going to do here, points from volume does pretty much what the scatter does, but in a volume. So if I connect these two here, basically this is going to fill with points. But I'm like, oh, where's my sphere? Where's my sphere? Well, let's go and find the sphere, you know, just for the... I'm not even going to bother. Just take my word for it. It's going to work. So here we have 2 splits. And if I pipe this in here, then we are going to have points from volume. So I'm going to go up and up again and right-click and say save operator type. Done. Saved. And I'm going to load it again. Load asset. 1, 2, 4, 5. There it is. And we have sphere here and cube here. And now we have a volume. Good. And then someone says, no, no, no. I want to be able to choose volume or surface. And I'm like, okay, you can fire the MoGraph developers, because I'm going to do it in a few seconds. So there's a brilliant node called the switch node. And the switch node basically takes a few inputs, and based on an integer, 0 or 1, it's 0 or 1. How genius. And good, so the switch is there now. And all I need to do is go up here and say, okay, type properties, because I need to export that menu. And all I have to do is go here, go to the switch, grab the select input, put it here. And because now it's a slider, and although I can use a slider, it's not cool. You know, a slider, this or that, that's old school. You go menu, you add a menu, and you know it's 0 for, I don't even remember what it is, I'm going to call it volume. What's on 0 on the left is actually scatter, is surface. Press enter, and 1, because these are the numbers, is a volume. And accept. And just get rid of that. And go here. Load the asset. 1, 2, 4, 5. Cube. Sphere. We have a menu. which is obviously the other way around. I've actually rehearsed this. I'm not joking. I've rehearsed this at least 17 times, and I got it wrong every single time. I'm not joking. Yeah. So I can't blame it on anyone. This is one of the problems with these kind of things. It's obviously my mistake. But it's entertaining nevertheless, and you're going to remember the joke rather than my misfortune. So there you go. Yeah, you can fire your MoGraph developers, and yeah, give me a bit of extra. So this is one of the very few times where it's the first time actually where we've shown the actual creation of a Houdini digital asset in real time, and it's so damn good looking at the same time. So that's number one, and I could always stop my presentation here, people are going to be ecstatic, but actually I'm going to do a fluid simulation. I mean, why not? Everyone's doing water and that. It's ever so slightly complex, so I don't care. We're going to take advantage of what is called the Houdini shelf tools. And we just go to particle fluids, and we click on this, and then we press enter. And we make this a bit smaller, because it's too big for my taste. Good. So this is pretty much a setup. Now, there are certain things we need to do to make this work as a Houdini digital asset. So we're going to do it very quickly. Before I do that, I'm going to get rid of a few things, like this. We don't need this. And we can get rid of all these. You find out what to delete, which is very important. And then we just need to change a few things, because it's the nature of digital assets that just need a couple of things to change. It will only take a few seconds, but that is the price of a live show. This is a reality show, the best of it, drama and all that. So that's done. I'm going to add an object. An input for an object, so we can use any object to fall in the water and splash. You know, falling in the water and splashing. That's great. So I'm going to create my mock geometry here, a torus, and basically with the torus selected, I'm going to go to rigid bodies and select I don't know, RBD object. Done. So this is kind of an object that's going to fall down. Excellent. And if I raise it up a bit, so if I put it like 5, maybe 5 is too much. 2, you will see that it's going to go splash, okay? A bit of a splash there. I can increase the resolution, we'll do that later on. Let's quickly move on with this thing. I'm going to go in here and I have to change a few things. And number one, I need to make my paths. This is nothing, it's just a bad installation I've done. So I just need to change this. Press enter. And then I need to see, this is the other one I need to change. Come on. This is what happens when you don't do things the proper way, but it's fun anyway. And what else am I going to do? Add an ID attribute. It's needed. And I think we're kind of set here. Everything's good. Now the next thing I'm going to do, make this a bit more interesting, is instead of the torus object, I'm going to add a merge. Because I'm going to input my own little object over there. There you go. So, good riddance, Mr. Torus. And I've added that object there. And what else do I need to do now? Let me think. Maybe nothing. We will see. We will see how this whole experiment goes. Yeah, I always love that. And we have that. We have this. I think we're good. And we need to select everything, make it into a subnet. It's probably not going to work, but we'll fix it. That's a good thing with these kind of setups. And I will right-click and say Create Digital Asset, and go up to the desktop in here and give it a very unique name. It's obvious what that is. And it's going to give us a slight warning again. Well, what are you doing there? So we'll see how that goes. It's grain and grain. Lovely. Press OK. And now we're going to go back to this layout. And let's expose a few of the parameters. A very important parameter we need to expose is the resolution of our simulation. And it's in the flip tank, I think. Yep, particle separation. I can go, if I want, I can go and drop every single parameter from this node. I can go here from nodes and just say, just drop everything, just to confuse people. You can do this to your friends. If you ever get Houdini, just put like 1,200 parameters in the attributes manager just to confuse them. It's always fun to see people going like, oh, that, yeah. So we have the input. Next, we need to input the object because we need to have a way to input this object here. So we have the input for the object. And what else do we need to do here? Let's leave it as it is. Yep, the warning, and see if this works. If it doesn't, we're going to go and fix it. I've got it already made, so it doesn't make a difference. So Houdini, load asset, 54321. Yay, we have particles. Step 1 is good. Let's make a torus and make it smaller. Lift it up, and let's drop this in here, and press play. And it splashes. Oh, that's sad. It's so easy to make a flip fluid. How am I going to charge my clients now? Yeah. Yeah, what you're seeing here is a real-time fluid simulation. And remember that mesher I was talking about? That asset that was meshing things? Let me add it here. So I think I go pipeline, load assets. It's called mesher. So let's name matches mesher. Yeah, in this Mac. So we're side effects mesher OTL. And what am I going to do here? Yeah, drop this in here and see what happens. What? We have meshing happening. And let's see the splash. Splash. And we have a rudimentary fluid simulator. Okay? Who'd like this one? I don't see any happy people. But this is just a proof of concept to understand that if you'd give it a bit more than 5 minutes, which I suggest you do when you do your job, okay? A bit more than 5 minutes a day is good to work. You can create extremely good things. And side effects is actually very generous. When the plugin goes to open beta, they will give extended trial periods for the engine and for Houdini licenses. So it will give the potential to users to jump on the bandwagon and start checking things out. And yes, both companies are fully behind the project, so this is not going away anytime soon. And let me see what else interesting I have to say. Because, okay, so this is... I'm merely the messenger. I would like you to put your hands together for Alain, the main developer of the plugin, Paul Fertizzi, which is the account manager of Side Effects, product manager of Side Effects, Oliver, and Bernd Lutz, and the rest of the Maxon team, which has given us the ability to play with such fantastic tools. And I say play because it is always fun to use these things. And yeah, this is a tech preview, and already I believe it's quite exciting what you can do. So keep your ears and eyes open over the next few weeks or a month. You will see announcements. I'm going to try and feed a bit more information, make a few videos and all that. This will be fully supported as to how to make assets, troubleshooting. There will be feedback mechanism for you to file your ideas and bug reports during the open beta, which we won't have any bugs, but you know, I have to say that anyway. Yeah, and I would like you, we have about 8 minutes. If you have any questions, I'll be very happy. Oh yeah, Maxon has a party today. I have no idea where it is. So this gentleman right here, you can ask him, just mob him, and they've got some wristbands for the party. Free drinks and free food? No food. Free drinks and free music, I guess. So, yeah, can I have questions? So just feel free to ask anything. Yes, please, Holger. Oh, yeah, the microphone.
2 questions.
Two questions.
You showed when you modify a digital asset in Houdini.
Yes.
And do you have to reload this asset in Cinema?
That's in progress. That's in progress, so
okay.
That's why I delete it and create it again.
Okay. The other question, if you want to write a cache from Cinema Houdini asset.
If you can write it from Houdini, you can write it from Cinema.
Okay.
So yeah, and this is an interesting question because some things are just funny, aren't they? I'll show you, it's a bit complex, but I think I can wrap it up before we leave. How to create a reader or a writer. So you have to click tab, press GEO, and then click on this. So we've already clicked 4 times, which is a bit stressful. Then you have to click twice on this, like double click. And then what you do is save this as an asset. That's it. This file node has all the information you need to read or write files. So it took me about 12 seconds to create a read and write node to become an asset. So Shift-C, right-click, create digital asset, save it out, and that's it.
So I guess you could have 2 digital assets which read
you can have one that does both. You can have 2 that do read and write. You can have 3, one reading, one writing, one doing nothing at all. You know, it's your choice. That's how good the implementation is. A bit more difficult stuff. Yes, Will?
I was just wondering, once you cache something, do you have to have Houdini installed? Do you have to have Houdini licenses for all your render nodes?
That I don't know. Can someone answer Paul? So if you have a render farm, what is the status of... so the question for anyone that didn't answer is if you have a render farm, how the licensing works. So is there a particular way or plan for licensing render farms?
Just pure render farm environment?
A render farm belonging to a studio.
A non-GUI, command line renderer.
So if someone has a Cinema 4D and runs a render farm, how many do they need to have to buy an engine for every single one of the nodes that's running as a client on the render farm? No. Okay.
Great.
Good. Yeah, just call Side Effects. Side Effects has a very good way of handling these things. They're very generous. They understand the needs of the market. They're not nutcases that want to take every penny you have. No. And actually, I live in Toronto since a year and a half ago, nearly 2 years. So they're neighbors. And the funny thing is that we live about a couple of miles apart with Paul, and we meet each other in Germany. So yeah, that shows how nice how much we like to come to Germany. But we're very busy. Anyway, their reputation for being generous and understanding is beyond. So feel free to contact them for any licensing questions and all that. Questions? Someone raised their hands. Yes, sir.
Another licensing questions about the indie version of Houdini. Works this with Cinema 4D or?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Indie and FX work exactly the same way. You just need to comply to the rules of the indie with your income and all that. I'm Greek. I don't make any money. That's what. Yeah. Good. Someone got the joke. More questions. I have to thank the Germans for the last 20 years of my life. Go on. Oh, you find that funny, eh? And now I call my mum. So, more questions. That's it? Well, again, not for me. I'm just the messenger. Please put your hands together for the amazing people that developed this technology, and are going to give you a lot of fun. Thank you very much, guys.